In this tutorial, we'll be building on what we did in the last tutorial. Last time we created a new Unity project. We added ElectroServer DLLs that allowed us to gain access to the API. And we created some code in C# that allows us to connect to ElectroServer and capture the connection response so that we know if the connection was established or if it failed. In this tutorial, we'll be using the login request to log in to ElectroServer, and we'll listen for the login response event to determine if the login was a success or a failure. So let's get started and do that now. First, we'll come down here to the onConnectionResponse event handler that we added last time. Just add an if statement. If the connection was a success, then we'll log in. Create a new login request and add a username to it, and we'll just log in as guest. In ElectroServer, all usernames must be unique. If you try to log in with a username that someone else has already logged in with, then it'll be a failure. Since we're running ElectroServer locally here and nobody's logged in, I could just use the word guest as my username and it will work. But if I tried to do that twice with two clients at the same time, the second one would fail to log in. So now that we've created this login request, we need to send it to the server. And we do that by saying es.engine.send and pass in the login request, LR. Okay, so right now the API will connect us to ElectroServer. We'll get the onConnection response. If it's a success, then a login request is created and sent to the server. So we need to capture the login response event handler. es.engine login response plus equal on login response. So I'll add that right here. On login response takes a login response object, and in here we can just inspect the event object to see if the login response was a success or not. So if e.successful, we will just log to the console debug.log logged in. Oops, logged in. And if it wasn't a success, then we can log that it was not a success. Debug log login failure. And if the login happened to be a failure, the login response object has information about why it was a failure. So we can log that out too. Debug.log e.error .toString. An example error might be username exists, or it could be vulgarity filter failure, something like that. If you happen to log in using or attempt to log in using a username that fails the language filter. So let's test this. Now that it's all written here, we'll flip back over to Unity and execute the application. Connection success true. Logged in. So we're now logged into ElectroServer.